Big John Entertainment, in association with Pullman Media, brings you a Musicians Podcast. The hosts here aren't the focus. You, the musicians, are. It's all about your music. Right here, right now. This episode features the music of Karina Frost. She fancies herself more of a writer than a musician, but she's got one hell of a backup band of friends, and together they've traveled all around San Diego, and they're looking to travel further. It's pretty interesting this episode. We get on one heck of a Star Wars tangent towards the end and find out some interesting information. It's a lot of fun. Tune in and check it out. However you want to do it.
You can put the hat on top of the headphones. There we go.
There we go. Alrighty. And now we need to get the microphone in front of her.
Now we need to get the microphone.
Good. At least you can hear me. That's good. So just try to stay talking right to the microphone, and we will we'll start this off with Karina Frost. How you doing?
Karina.
I'm all right.
Karina.
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 It's all good. That's all good.
It's all good. Welcome to the Dusty Futon. Thanks for coming up.
For sure.
Now, where are you out of?
Sherman Heights, so about an hour out in traffic. So that's how much I love you guys.
Oh,
Thank you.
that J7 must have spoken highly of
She
us.
must
did.
have.
Oh, wow. So that's how we met you as a mutual friend, J7.
That's right.
And so how did you meet her?
J7, I met her on top of a mountain.
Oh, wow. That's definitely...
Yeah, really. On top of Palomar Mountain at a summer festival called the Rock and Soul Festival. And she was out there breathing fire, even though it was 100 degrees, and hula hooping
Like
and
she
doing her
does.
thing. Yeah, she was definitely standing out amongst the crowd of campers. You know, she was just on bright human being. So we just started talking.
And then there you are.
And
Now
there
you
we are.
now you perform for a lot of the same gigs that she
That's
does.
right, yeah.
So how would you classify your style of music?
It is, man, that's like the number one question because it's kind of hard to classify. So people tend to ask me so they could tell their friends. But it's really just acoustic music, and it takes on a lot of different forms. I would say folk is the number one influence, definitely. But there's big time traces of, you know, the other music that I grew up listening to as a kid. You know, you got Fiona Apple, you have Shakira, you have all those people that never leave you, even if you primarily listen to one genre. So it's a little mix of everything.
So you just try and kind of, you just, whatever comes out of you. So
Exactly.
how do you write your music then?
So it's really mostly about words for me. So I will need to express something, definitely an emotion, a thought, or something I just have been contemplating that's taken on this cloud above my head that needs to take on a little bit more of a three-dimensional form or more palpable form. So then you start to write it down. It's definitely about pen to paper for me too. I am a writer first, I would say, over a musician. And if I had to pick one, you know, with a one last wish, definitely writing is my number one. So it's all about the story I want to tell, and the melody comes. I play, you know, guitar is my instrument, and the melody comes, and I'm able to tell the story usually with some simple chords, and my band comes in to color it up.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you about your band. Now you actually have a backing band that you perform with.
Yes, finally. Woo!
Yeah.
It takes
right.
so long.
How many pieces do you have?
So we have, 4 people all the time, including myself, and we have a lot of people in and out, including Alexis, who was here a few months ago. But
Last season, yep.
yeah, last season, I guess. So it's
That
but it's,
would be Lillian LeFranc, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
so that is her stage name. That is
Yes.
her artist name,
Yes.
Lillian LeFranc. Yeah.
Yes, very unique woman she is. So
Oh
anyway,
man, yeah, that's my girl.
she's a character.
She's crazy.
She spoke very highly of you, buddy.
I love her. But yeah, so she's always in there putting her power vocals on. She sings a lot of backups for us. But I have another girl, Casey Deichler, She sings most of the backups for me. I have Q Ortiz as the cajon percussion. We just added some cymbals, so we have more of a full drum sound, but he rocks it. You would think that he was playing a full kit, definitely.
Nice.
And we have Will Spencer, and he's my buddy who plays lead guitar for me. So
nice. So you got a nice little band going. And where do you often play at?
All over town. This past couple years that we've been a band has been perfect timing for me because it's just opened up all these doors. So we've played at the usual spots in Hillcrest North Park that we've always, like the Moreau's a staple. It's like home, where we just had a show with J7. But we've recently gotten up to like Fallbrook to play at the Pala Mesa Resort. The mountaintop shows.
Yeah.
That we've actually done 3 there at the Harrison Serenity Ranch, ran by Vicki Morgan, Brandon owned. And all over town. We find ourselves in Del Mar too, so we've played the House of Blues, Belly Up. That was definitely the biggest show I think we've done is the Belly Up.
And do you have any aspirations for spreading outside of San Diego? And
definitely. So that's what I'm struggling with. Would be probably the most honest thing is kicking this goal into action, is figuring out how to get all these working adults that want to make music but have to pay bills.
Always the biggest hurdle.
With different personalities. One person's ready to go at any time. One person you need to tell a month in advance. One person never wants to leave their home.
Yeah.
So how to get all these people out and figuring out, do I just go on my own? Do I do this solo tour? How much does sharing this music mean to me? And obviously it means a lot because I'm still here. I haven't taken off, even though opportunities are peaking. So I sense that just like everything else, taking it intuitively, baby steps, we'll get there. Right now we're, trying to maybe look into Ensenada, down south, I have family there. So places where it's facilitated.
There you
San
go.
Francisco, just
kind
not
of
too far.
top to bottom.
Right,
Go
right,
north
yeah.
and south first.
Keep it
North and
nice
south.
and easy.
Exactly.
Then we'll go east and west.
So let's take a listen to one of your songs first. Now, Big Sur, what album is that? How many albums do you have out?
Well, I have a couple solo albums, one self-titled and one that's called The Grand Water Trine. It's a crazy time in my life.
Okay.
But this is actually, we've just been working really hard on getting tight. That takes some time. I'm used to playing alone, and that's a lot of freedom to express myself emotionally and not really listen to the rules of music so much. So it's been a lot of that. Right now we're recording a demo that we are calling Happiness is to Share.
Okay.
It's a line from one of our songs.
And that's what Big Sur is from?
Big Sur is from that demo, right?
All right. So this is Big Sur from the demo album that's going to be coming out soon?
That's right.
All righty.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Stranger, but this cool cat's got a familiar vibe. Whispers is versus why we are noticed. We've been lost for a long time. Bloody blue eyes don't mind. Yes, he is mellow, weak and cry. Here we go.
love those melodies.
Oh.
Are those you? Are those both you?
No, singing?
Yeah.
No, I'm the lead, and then Casey Dillard.
Okay, it's. I didn't know if you mixed it the same, like with two versions of you, but
No.
you guys sound a little similar.
Yeah, we do kind of.
This one's got a little bit more melodic tone. One's got more of a raspy voice, and I'm guessing you're the raspier voice.
Right.
That's you said Fiona Apple
That's
when we
right.
first started talking. I clicked right into that right away. Are you going to be producing it any more than that? Like adding any more instrumentation?
Maybe not instrumentation, but it'll be more produced, definitely. Yeah.
Well, sounds good. I
Right.
like it.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
It's a rough demo. It's a rough
Yeah.
cut. But, I mean, the music, it sounds full enough to not have to add any overproduction to it.
Definitely. It's recorded in my living room, like with one mic and all of us huddled around it.
It sounds
Wow.
like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I
No,
don't like
that's-
to criticize anybody's recording because
Yeah.
there is an artistry to that style of recording. It's a live style of recording, so I never know what an artist is going for. So I'm glad you said that because it did sound like it was kind of a demo more
I
than
liked it
anything.
though. I feel like it added an element to it.
Yeah, we just went for it. So now we got an offer to record in someone's studio.
Wow.
And so we're thinking, okay, we'll put that off maybe for a month or two and just finish this, have that available online for people to get an idea of our music, but have that clean version. But yeah, this just came out of a little corner, closing all the windows.
Nice.
Yeah. Q Ortiz, the cajon player, brought out his equipment. He's got a nice little setup, and we just got her done.
I love that some of the best stuff just comes out of people's living rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
You said you've been working to get tighter. So how long had you been practicing that song before that little mini performance?
Well, that day.
I love the pause and that look on your face. You're like, well,
Right.
how do I approach
that
this?
day?
You know, that's an
Yeah,
open-ended question for you.
We practice a lot. So we practice a lot to get it tight. There's a lot of things that go into it for us. It's not just, first it's playing it tight and then it's adding the color to the song. So then it wouldn't have even been ready for a long time. But that day it was just play it once. Oh, we mess up one little time. My dog barks. Start again, because it was all of us. So we might have done it about 7-8 times before we got it right.
Wow, well, it definitely didn't sound like you were tired of it. And it's an infectious beat. Like, it really is. It gets you, and it's unique enough to where it's not pop, but you still you almost follow that traditional verse, chorus, medley, but you do it in a unique way that, I don't know, it definitely sounds more indie and has I can't wait to hear the produced version to see what it actually sounds like with each individual
Definitely.
instrument.
I mean, me either, because it'll reveal itself even more to me, hearing
Yeah.
everyone's parts a little more clear. It already did with this recording, so that was kind of the purpose, was even just for us to have something to listen to. But we learned a lot.
You'll get to hear the fine details once.
Right? Yeah, we'll learn about each other just a little more.
It's interesting how that happens because sometimes, like for especially since you were a solo act for so long, you develop your own sound, and you do it rather quickly when it's just you. But with a band, sometimes it takes forever. Sometimes it clicks overnight. But
Yeah,
I
it's
can
mostly
always tell
me.
when he's trying to educate me.
Well, it's always me. It's usually me. I'm not gonna say it's always. It's usually me having to unlearn what I've, like you said, been ingrained this whole time into me. Like, all right, I'm gonna be able to take this pause and put this emotion and change this word up. So it's those little things that I personally have to get used to, sharing this very personal music with everyone, and just also keeping it steady so that there's not too many differences, and still keeping it passionate and emotional at the same time. So
and as
it's been a
you
journey.
as you develop your flow with each band member, you could get back to that freedom because
And that's where we're at now, right? So it's a little smoother now, and it's become a whole nother thing. The old songs that were stale are now alive again, because we're together now.
yeah, all of a sudden you can actually play them and have fun with them rather than just trying to learn it and get it perfect. It's nice how that does develop. So, so where did you find these guys? Because you said you were years without a band, and now that you've been with this band, this lineup for a couple of years now.
Right.
And so how did you get about finding them for you?
Well, after looking at some of the more obvious players in my scene that I would see playing backup for people, we'd have a few practices, and for some reason, it's not that it wouldn't click, it just never became a thing where we were both just as committed as the other. And eventually it was this woman, Kelly McGarry, she puts on shows at the House of Blues. I wanted to play at the House of Blues, and nobody would let me play solo, at least on the main stage. And she told me if I got a band together, I could do it. And so I did, so it was basically like that. But before that, I had been singing with Alexis. We had been writing harmonies. I was trying to think of a way, after being discouraged from getting actual musicians with instruments in the band. I thought maybe I'm just Bob Dylan, and I'm just gonna have these two singers kind of sweeten it up and make it kind of churchy, and that's what I had in mind. But I met a guy at my old job, and he played guitar, and just like that, started getting more the idea, like I could do this, I could put together some people to make this work. And now the solid members are Casey, who I've known for many years, like 10 years, and who's always sang along with me. And so I always knew that we had a good vibe together. It takes almost no work to get things right with her. So that was great. And Q Ortiz, he's my cajon player. He's from New York. So
what made you decide a cajon versus a drums?
I've always wanted that light sound. I played with a cajon player before, Jay Young, and it just was cool. I just would see people, and I'd resonate with that acoustic vibe that was a little more full. So I kind of I've never really wanted to leave that. And Q doesn't play a kit. He doesn't want to. So it's kind of perfect. He's just a master percussionist. And
it's interesting how
he plays with me.
That decision tones down your style. Like it kind of just tones it in and puts it right into that pocket of that acoustic style and sound you want. Because if you add a set of drums, like we've seen singer-songwriter style with a set of drums behind it, it gives a whole different depth to that song. It adds like a whole line behind the singer rather than just that
it's big,
rather than just that tight little pocket of community. So
I like being intimate, and that's I love Elliott Smith, how he would add some instrumentation, but it was still so light. And even though it's become a lot bigger than that light sound that I first heard in my head, I just feel like the band understands that it's this painting, more so than like, let's rock.
Yeah, exactly. You're like you're creating art rather than just performing, rather than just playing, and it's becoming now. Speaking of performing art, did you say you're becoming more of a performer? Or was that the other guy?
That was Andrew.
Oh, my God. See, this is what happens when we do multiple episodes.
Okay. Yeah, no, we are a performance, though.
Well, that's what I was getting into, because I thought I saw a video of you kind of moving around a lot on stage. So tell me about your performance style, having added the band now, going from singer-songwriter solo act to now.
I can definitely express myself a little more. Now that I don't just mic my guitar either, so it's taken me, you wonder why I don't have a drummer. Like, it's taken me so long to even get a pickup on my guitar. I was miking it, like I wanted to be so stripped down. But now, there is a flamboyant side to me, and I get to express that. That just kind of happened naturally on stage as soon as I didn't have a mic to hold still, the energy of the band. But I definitely dance around, and Scott Weiland, rest in peace, from Stone Temple Pilots, I find myself seeing kind of the way I move, because I watched so many music videos, I think, as a kid, just growing up in the 90s, and you see all these kind of androgynous people moving around and being a little less hardcore about it and just a little more free, but still rocking out. That nice mix is what I find very, very attractive and very kind of sensual too. I really appreciate that in performers who can open themselves up in that way to the audience and and it's not weird. It's very real. You're making that connection, so it's cool.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and take another listen to another song you gave me. And this one, is this going to be off of the same upcoming album?
Definitely.
This is Lifted by Karina Frost.
Just like that, I'm lifted.
Oh,
Was living life amongst the roots, the rocks.
oh,
Earthly intentions. Yeah. Now suddenly I've risen.
lift me,
I'm holding in fast to the magic of expansion. Got a radical idea that involves my peers. You see, fashion, it's my fashion. It leaves me focused, straight up and sincere. Here we go, yeah. Lift me up, take me there. That's what I say to my friends when I'm hungry. Happiness is to share. Lift me up, take me there. That's what I say to my friends when I'm hungry. Happiness is to share. I turn a blind eye to the corrosion of emotion, only honoring that which sets my vision into motions. A dream without a plan is just an illusion. So we take our best ideas, we fuel them up, we send them.
She said earlier that happiness is to share is a line in one of her songs, and it was just there.
This is it.
I just heard it. I was like, oh yeah.
You
I
know-
expected it to be in the song that you said it before we played,
Right.
but it turned out to be this one.
Yep.
That's fun.
There you go. Good observation there, Trevor.
Thanks.
On the QRTs.
Are you proud of yourself?
A little.
Fade out. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes. Lift me up.
When my spirit's low, I'm able to get personal with the loans, cause love is shown.
Take me there.
Two Karinas for practice, we're more than an act. A family of dreamers with passion.
Lift me up.
You'll see us surfing clouds, imagining we're surfing crowds. Makes me practice certain.
He sounds like the Flowbots guy. He sounds like the guy from Flowbots.
Oh, yeah.
His voice kind of sounds similar.
Acosinas, and I'm
You ever heard of Flowbots?
I've heard of them, but I haven't listened enough to be able to pick it out. So
I like him.
I'm going to listen to this, though.
half stepping. Yeah, holding half stepping. We got will, holding half stepping. Yeah, holding half stepping. We got will, holding half stepping.
Lift me up. Take me there. That's what I say to my friends when I'm hungry. Happiness is to share. Oh, yeah. Lift me up. Take me there. That's what I say to my friends when I'm hungry. Happiness is to share. So what we do, we gotta show love, show love, show love, show love, show love, show love. Yo, Lillian LeFranc. Show love, show love, show love. Abandon y'all, abandon y'all, show love, y'all, abandon y'all, abandon y'all, show love. Lift me up, take me there. That's what I say to my friends when I'm hungry. Happiness is to share. Oh.
There it is again.
You're so good. You're such an
I did it.
observer. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, man.
That
I
was-
love that. I loved that song.
No, thank you.
That was a great song. I love that combination between like almost rap lyrics, but over an indie rock kind of beat. I love that.
And it was very soulful. Like you had a very smooth like rhythm to that, very rhythm and blues, like old school soul feeling. Where does that come from? Is that Ortiz?
My soul.
Okay, that's from you. Okay.
Well, he wrote that verse, but I wrote the song. Yeah, just listening to Alicia Keys, a lot of Tom Waits. Tom Waits he went to my high school, so I feel like hopefully I breathed in like
some
one
of the fairy dust,
half particle of genius, like the tiniest bit, Hilltop High. But
you drank out of a drinking fountain.
oh
that
my
he also
god,
drank
yeah.
Out of.
But just getting out that soul. So when you asked me earlier what genre, I made up a genre called folk soul. That's what I tell people when they ask me.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I used
I didn't make it up.
I used to go with folk rock.
Folk rock.
Because I used to singer songwrite myself.
I've noticed all these new like hybrid genres coming up, like folk soul and like.
Well, that's because and honestly, the reason for that isn't the artists; it's the labels,
the listeners. Right?
it's the listeners and the labels because they have to have a definition in order to present it. And that's why it goes back to more of the labels than anything, because it has to be presented on a certain format, a certain radio station. And that's why a lot of newer rock and newer blues music and fusions, they don't make it on radio because it's so varietous. That's a word. It's so varietous.
That's a word.
That's a word.
You need to know
I
that.
like that.
It's so varietous, and it's such a vast tapestry of music that you can pick from and intertwine. And now we're starting to see some amazing collaborations because of just people, the influence
Where
from
we
the
are,
90s.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just people coming together and making new stuff.
Yeah, and it all breeds onto itself. Like you said, your music now is influenced by the band that you're in.
Right. Exactly.
The way you write it.
Exactly. I would never have written that song, specifically that song, Big Sur maybe, but without them. It's first of all about them.
Yeah.
But second of
cool.
all, yeah, just the soulfulness and the ability to hear it bigger than it actually is would never have come without the group. Yeah.
So the song is about them lifted. So it's just completely metaphorically that being in a band with them and all that coming together lifted you up.
No, dude, they get high together.
Oh, okay.
Duh.
It's all about smoking weed, man.
Oh, shit.
Nah. Yeah, well, all of my writing is very personal, so it very much, the beginning words are, just like that I'm lifted. I was living life amongst the roots, the rocks, thinking kind of just about myself, playing solo, holding all this emotion, all this music on my shoulders and trying to deliver it powerfully just by myself, and really just realizing that those aren't my values. My value is to share, is to be bright and to vibrate, and that I really need others to do that. So
I
it's about
love
that.
the way you talk. You are such a loquacious person. It's beautiful.
He's smitten. He's entranced.
Oh my goodness!
He's
I
like,
could
"Keep
I could just
talking.
listen to you talk all
Keep
day.
talking.
Just tell me stories.
Well, I'm going to pull another one out of you. So how did you get your start musically? Like, you started playing solo, but what got you to the point of performance?
Since the minute I touched the guitar, I was about 11. My grandpa, my tata's guitar, he taught me the first, G, C, D, and I was writing songs like right away. I didn't
Took
want
and
to.
ran.
Yeah, I didn't want to learn how to play any other songs. I wasn't interested in that, and still is not my biggest interest, playing covers, even in my own living room. It was just writing. And I guess I needed the guitar for some reason, because, I don't write long stories, even though I like to tell stories. So that was basically my medium right away, just like most painters know right away. They're just like, oh, I can paint, So it's not that I'm an amazing guitarist or anything, really. I play rhythm. I have good rhythm. I know a lot of chords, but I have a lead guitarist that does all the complicated stuff, in my opinion. I just like to play steady and tell my story. Yeah.
Can't paint without a brush.
Right.
The guitar was your brush.
It was. Yeah.
What? Quit staring at me.
I love making him uncomfortable. It's like one of my favorite things to do when he says stuff like that. It's like
I do love the way you look at him.
yeah. It gets him every time. He's so
It
green.
does.
He's so
You can
young.
just sit there and be
Squirming
quiet
in
for
the
like 3
Yeah.
seconds. And
See?
Stop it.
It's one of the few times I get to put millennials off, you know?
Yeah.
Cold stare.
Usually they get you. Yeah, exactly. They're like,
Millennials can't handle silence.
no, not at all.
Got to be talking at all times.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Say something.
So you started at 11 years old. Have you had any other interest in other instruments?
Yeah, I tried playing the drums and that was all right. I'm okay, but it's always been guitar. Right now I'm teaching myself. I have a piano, so now I'm like, all right, let me learn how to play this piano. And but YouTube is really doing it for me on that. It's a slow process on the piano, but guitar's been my instrument from day one, and singing, working on my vocals. I didn't start out singing like Casey. She was always singing Whitney Houston. So, I have to definitely work so that I could sing with her and do her.
Well, that
her
pushes
voice
you as
justice.
a musician.
Big
It makes
time.
you want to elevate and be lifted.
These metaphors are so great.
So tell me about Big Sirs. You wrote that one. Did you write that one before?
I wrote it when we were first forming. We took
Right.
like a band trip because I was all like, we got to bond so that this lasts,
Did you go to Burning Man?
No. We
No,
went to
okay.
Big Sur.
I was about to ask, is Burning Man in Big
Yeah,
Sur?
no.
No, it's in
I
the
didn't
desert.
think so.
Right. No, I don't like
I've never been.
I don't like the heat too much. So, yeah.
Ocean all the way.
Ocean all the
Exactly.
way, yep.
Anyway, go on.
No, yeah, we had just formed and there was a few different members, but we were just trying to bond. I was terrified that my like super strong, passionate personality was going to scare off another group of people, really, because that's what happens, is you don't want to give anything less than what your vision is, but people are going to get scared off. But these folks went with me to Big Sur and we camped out and it was wet and we had a lot of hard times making fire, but man, was it fun to hang out with them. It was the easiest weekend of my life. I knew that it would definitely take on a beautiful form afterwards, and we hiked. I almost died on this hike. Just kept trying to catch up to these guys who, man, I didn't know they were professional hikers.
I
But
brought you guys here. You can't leave me.
Hugh's got a sweater on. I'm like,
Oh my
God.
It is surprising how certain people can hike as much as they do. It's like, I don't understand
man,
it.
some people got endurance that
You just walk up all the time? Why?
Yeah, seriously, you could do this. Like, I feel literally my heart is pounding. I
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah, it's like,
Seriously.
That scene in The Grinch where his heart is just...
But yeah, I wanted
was
to
the
tell
Grinch,
a.
right?
yeah.
I
Okay,
do
cool.
picture that.
Okay.
I do
That
picture
I was thinking The Mask, but
I think that's what I was thinking too. Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
yeah,
Carrey,
that
Jim
you know.
Carrey.
either way,
Jim
You
same
were thinking
thing.
of Jim.
Yeah,
I don't think it was in The Grinch. I think it was.
No, the Grinch is when it grows, when his heart grows. When
Yeah.
it beats, it's the
yeah,
mask.
Yeah, The
It
Mask.
was small, and then it got
It
big.
was small.
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Those Who's. They just know how to inspire.
Yep.
full
And
circle.
that's why I wrote Big Sur, the Grinch.
We figured it out.
Yeah.
We got
Always
to
comes back.
the bottom line. So this demo album, how many or this album you're working on?
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you calling it a demo, or are you actually going to try to do a full length distribution and everything, push it out yourself?
This one, this living room, corner of my living room blinds down demo is a demo. I mean,
Yeah.
we're calling it a demo. I'm going to burn it and write it with a Sharpie, The one that MJ Lara, he's in a band called Her in the Heartbeat, and he has Space Jams Records. So he's up in Laguna Beach or Long Beach.
Okay.
And he's the one who's offered to do
That
our
label
album.
sounds familiar.
I mean, the dude is crazy good. He's probably well known in the music scene. I just met him, but he's got that vibe that I'm like, I think I met someone important. But you're just super cool.
I'm gonna remember this
He's got
handshake.
long hair. He's a super looking guy, but he's the one that's going to make a clean, I listened to some examples. I'm
Yeah.
super excited. And that one, I'm going all the way. I'm going to choose beautiful artwork, find an artist friend, go all out and just push out a really beautiful product. Yeah.
Good. And when do we expect the demo to be released, and where are people going to be able to find it?
At our shows online, we do have a website, karinafrostmusic.com.
There you go. On blast.
Yeah, definitely.
Karina with a K. I don't
With a
know if
K?
it's ever spelled with the
K-A-R.
C.
No,
It
yeah,
is.
it is
It is,
regularly.
yeah. And it's
so.
not Katrina.
It's not
No.
Katrina.
No, it's
Karina.
Karina. Karina, and Frost like
Exactly.
my frozen heart.
the snowman.
Frosty the Snowman.
Okay, yeah, that's better
Yeah.
than my.
Just take the
Cold.
Y
They're like,
off.
is he your uncle? Number one question as a kid. Yes.
Yeah, and he
Then you
melted.
start
And it
So
was
is
a
Jack
tragedy in my
Frost. So is
family.
Robert
Thanks.
Frost. Yeah. But we can expect it. It depends on how it goes. I could tell that MJ is a perfectionist, and he's not going to let me release anything that's not perfect, or at least.
Is he going to
excellent,
make you take down the SoundCloud links?
No, that's for everyone to
I
check
hope
out
not.
too. Yeah.
I hope not.
I have stuff that's old on there. I try to curate a little bit, but I do want some of my history on there. And
Yeah.
I hate it at one point, then I leave it for a few years, and then it's charming, and I like it again. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, let's just try to leave it.
Well, I've actually had members, musicians, quite often tell me to never get rid of the stuff that you put out. Never, don't try to remake your past. You can take your song and you can completely redo it if you want, but don't get rid of the first version,
Right.
because that's, like you said, you don't want to curate too much of it away. You want to keep a lot of it out there to create a lineage for your fans, so that
And
they can.
nobody told George Lucas this. Like,
George Lucas is a robot. I did not expect that response.
I did not expect that response.
I didn't either.
Okay, well, we've had that one well.
All right, you hear that, George Lucas?
Well, no, he's a robot. He's like an android. He has no feelings or heart.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't care about his
Sold to
fans.
Disney, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he's like, here, give me $4 billion or whatever the hell it was.
Just make a new 3, 4, 8 Star Wars movies.
Well, actually, they're really good.
Yeah, they're really
they are
great.
good.
It's all
I
good.
gotta say, I was on Disney's side from day one on this, because I know how I knew some people that worked at Disney, and I know how hardcore they are about their line and how keeping true to everything in their line. And I just knew right off the bat Star Wars was going to be the same, because
gonna
they
stay
know their fan base was going to destroy Disney otherwise. Like they would, like
That's a vicious fandom.
yeah, and
It's a vicious
they
fandom.
bought an enterprise company that had all of this stuff that most of their fan base enjoyed.
Definitely.
So if they screwed it up,
Right.
they would have lost their fan base and lost a shitload of money. So I just knew it would have made no sense, absolutely no sense, for them to like just start writing weird shit
Right.
and changing it
Just
to
making it just
It's
to make
dope.
it.
I mean, the stories are awesome. The characters that they're coming up with.
Rogue One. It was
Yeah, oh
fucking
my God.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah,
I know, right?
There's so
On
many.
Netflix
There's the diversity. There's female characters, women of color. Men of color. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and they run the gamut for everything, and it's so neat because they still stay true to the original feel.
Right. It feels like it just started up again.
I know.
From the same set. Okay.
Honestly, that kind of
Dust it
got
off.
me the first time I saw the Disney version of which episode was that?
7?
Was it 7?
Force Awakens?
I think that was the first Disney one, right?
Finn and the
Yeah, and all the cuts were exactly the same as 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to be kidding
How
me!
it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It was so incredible. I was in
Oh,
love.
I know. In the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, everything. It's like
Oh, you were just like,
Okay.
no.
that was a long Star Wars tangent we just went
Come
on.
on,
It
That
was.
was
it's worth
great.
it, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh.
not that often you find people who are actually just kind of fans and not crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that are just fans
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
Most people are either crazy, like,
Most
no,
people
you
are wearing
gotta.
shirts and like.
that
Yeah.
would have been impossible.
Yeah.
'cause-
Okay.
Well, you see, because in space it's this way, and then
So where else can we find you? You've got KarinaFrost.com with a K.
Yeah, Karina Frost Music. Nice memory.
Ah.
Yeah. So KarinaFrost.com is taken by this Canadian woman who I've known existed since the internet existed. She has my name. She's a musician, opera singer. She's freaking rad. She's funny, but that's not my website.
Okay. KarinaFrostMusic.com.
We have videos on there. We have a link to our Reverb Nation, where right now is where I've been keeping a lot of my past recordings also that are cleaner than this one. I mean, my friend Ryan Maple, Electreon Productions, got down on my last demo. I'm very proud of it, but it's just me.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to push the whole group, because people watch us perform and they buy the demo, and I don't want to be like, oh, well, it's solo. I just want them to take it, but I feel like it's not what they just saw. But I want to put it on Spotify, all those mediums that just make it not for the money. I just want as many people as possible to be able to check us out right away.
Yeah. And honestly, that's one of the better things about indie music. And it's not just the indie, like, industrial style. It's independent in and of
that's
itself.
That's what it means. That's what I had to learn, is that's what it means.
Yes.
Independent. Yeah,
because there actually is an indie rock.
Right.
But that's an industrial rock. That's like Marilyn Manson backbeats and stuff like that. Yeah. But the indie music scene is whole different. What, are you all right?
I did not know that information.
Really? I thought we had this conversation before.
Never heard of industrial rock.
Oh, yeah. Industrial rock, like actual indie rock,
sounds a lot of...
Yeah, arena rock, like a lot of deeper drums. Sometimes you have a lot of metallic snare kickbacks.
Mud.
Yeah, like muddy sounds and steel room echo chambers and shit like that. It's
like the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. And in a lot of Marilyn Manson's music from the 90s was considered indie rock. Yeah. Hardcore shit.
Man.
Marilyn Manson.
Metal.
Good old
metal
Marilyn
indie.
Manson.
Yeah, that guy's cool,
that
man.
Guy
he
is
just does whatever he wants.
That guy
I
is
freaking love
rad.
him, yeah.
You know what I like about him more than anything is that he just doesn't give a fuck.
Not one.
He's like, I'm Marilyn Manson.
That's a lesson to learn,
Yeah. I don't
care.
care.
Like it, then you can fuck off.
How many lawsuits he's just skirted because he's
how
like,
many
whatever.
parents hate him?
Yeah, it's like he's like, whatever.
Yeah, love that guy.
My parents hated him too.
Yeah, taking away my CDs. What are these trash? Antichrist. Yeah, no, independent music, that's something else. I basically had to learn from my peers, my music scene, the San Diego music scene, the people that have been doing it longer than I have, that go so freaking hard, and that have been willing to meet with me for coffee and tell me one of their secrets. That takes a lot for people to do, because they've worked so hard for that knowledge. But this community is actually super giving and loving and not envious of each other's talents. And that's one thing I've noticed, is we do lift each other up big time.
The music scene in San Diego is, I've been finding and doing this podcast for a couple of years now, it's one of the most diverse and friendliest scenes. I mean, you got... like you could probably open up for a punk rock band and everything would be like no big deal.
Right.
Like that's how diverse this scene is, and that's one of the reasons I do this podcast, is to give indie rockers, independent musicians, a voice.
Right.
We
need it.
Yeah.
Lord knows.
So tell your friends.
Yep.
DustyFuton.com.
Yeah.
That's what we try to do
here. Get them
here.
all on here. This is great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the drive all the way up from the Midtown area down there.
No way, man.
Heck
It's
yeah.
all the same. We travel anywhere for music. I would have gone further, honestly.
Oh,
so yeah.
That's awesome. Well, then, thank you for coming down and chatting with us. Did you have one more thing to add?
Not really.
No.
You got pretty much covered all the indie music stuff. I was going to touch on that, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I like stealing his thunder too.
He does. He does like that.
Well, this is my show.
And then he looks at me and he says, "Shut up! You don't say anything."
Why are you talking still? So
See?
You have to look.
I told you. It's scary.
Alrighty.
Not to mention he's twice my size.
It does. There's the intimidation factor. That's why they call me Big John. But anyway, thank you again, Karina Frost, again for coming out and
thank you.
Chilling on our Dusty Futon.
And letting us listen to your music.
Oh, no. Thank you guys for the exact same thing, letting me chill on your futon. And for listening to my music. That's just a gift when people take a few minutes of their time to...
God, you're such a sweetheart. I was warned about how much of a sweetheart you were. Like, I was told that I would instantly fall in love.
Yes, we heard this.
Yeah.
We heard this.
Shut up!
Thank you for listening to this Big John Entertainment production. please rate us on iTunes and subscribe to Big John's newsletter on Facebook to get all the updates. Don't forget to subscribe through your favorite podcast service to get all this new music right on your device. Thank you for listening to The Dusty Futon. Follow us on Facebook at The Dusty Futon, Twitter at Dusty Futon, and Instagram at Dusty Futon. Music written by Big John and produced by Timmy D. Coleman Media.